Now, okay, hello everyone, I'm Sarah from Healthy Well, and I'm joined today by Sergeant Burr Leach, who is a crime prevention officer here with the Gardaí in Limerick, and has very kindly offered to give us her time today to raise awareness for students around issues concerning their safety and awareness of safety and being street savvy. And we're going to talk a little bit about personal property protection, accommodation, money muling, and potential scams that you may encounter during your time at university. And I do apologise for the barking in the background. So Burr, I'm going to start with personal safety and streetwise awareness. So this is something that I do see come up with students from time to time. And I think, you know, be it male or female, that the students themselves have concerns about this from time to time and different times of the year. And also their parents, especially for first years who are embarking on their journey in university, might have some concerns for their safety also, perhaps on nights out. What would you have to advise us and our students about that today?
Okay, so thank you, Sarah. Look, I suppose we all have to have an awareness of where we are, what we're doing, how we look, how we're walking. We need to remember that the criminal is always around us, and he is going to be looking for a victim. Now, this is not about scaring anybody. This is all about making people aware. So, for instance, when my 16-year-old niece started college, my sister was terrified, and she asked me for advice. I said, Mary, Lily is 6'2". She always wears flat shoes. She walks with purpose. She's not going to show that she has cash on her. She's not going to be on her phone. She's going to be paying attention and walking. So there, immediately, I described to you somebody who maybe, if I was a criminal looking for a victim, I may not choose her. But I may choose somebody who's completely switched off, bag half hanging off the shoulder, gentlemen maybe with your phone in your hand as you're walking along. We know that they come cycling by with bikes and they'll pull the phone out of your hand. We know that they'll make sure that there's nobody, that they won't be seen or heard, the criminal. So they're going to look for, you know, an ideal location. So it's a combination of things. It's your own behaviour, and this is nothing to do with victim blaming. I understand we should all be able to walk anywhere, anytime. But I also know, having been, may I make this clear, a victim of crime myself, in fact, of a very vicious assault, that I know really that it can happen to anybody, anytime. And it's how you present yourself to the world. I mean, when I'm walking towards a crowd of young people, for some reason, I immediately feel like I'm armoring up. So I start walking taller, looking in the direction that I'm traveling. Maybe I put an extra grip on my bag that I usually carry, crossbody bags. Maybe I'm aware of my location. Maybe I know exactly where my phone is. Maybe I need to take some, you know, action. For instance, I would never bother trying to chat or engage with somebody that's drunk. You're absolutely wasting your time. So look in the direction of travel. If you see something coming up ahead of you, divert away from it. I think, and this is not a male-female issue, but I think women instinctively have a better gut instinct that we might know, we might sense a danger and we'd know how to maybe get around it. So I suppose when it comes to your personal safety, the first thing is, you know, don't put yourself in an area where you could be set upon, that you don't have any assistance. If you feel that you're being followed, cross the road, look over your shoulder. If you are being followed, go to a place of safety. This can be anywhere. This can be a shop, a garage, of course, a guard station. If you see somebody walking towards you that you look like you could trust, and you know what I'm talking about, there's nothing wrong with calling attention to yourself. But I think, unfortunately, and maybe especially young people, but maybe the Irish just generally, we don't like to draw attention to ourselves. So yeah, so running into a shop saying, please, I need help, there's somebody following me, is something that nobody might be able to say, but that's actually what we should say. I mean, I cannot emphasize enough, there's a percentage out there that are criminals, but the vast percentage of people are very decent and will do their best to assist you.
That's really good common sense and advice that you're giving there, Burr, and nothing very complicated. And as you say, there's no blaming victims or anything like that. It's just how to arm yourself going forward in a situation in public where you may be feeling uncomfortable or approaching maybe a group or a scene that makes you nervous. So that's really great advice, I think, for everybody to have. So thank you for that. The next topic that we were going to look at there is personal property protection. And I know this is something that comes up time and time again for students, be it with bikes, bags, phones, and so on, the usual things that go missing. And, you know, we're very lucky at UL. The guards have been assisting us at Welfare Wednesdays, and they have been engraving locks and things like that, and helping students to identify their property and to label their property. But have you any advice to offer our students and our staff today as to how to avoid you know, maybe things going missing or unnecessary theft?
Yeah, and that's it. I mean, our mobile phones are probably the most handy and valuable things that we have. So of course they're easy to sell on. So of course a criminal, it's always about money. They will steal anything that they can sell on. Mobile phones are easy to sell on. But what I discovered, and maybe Sarah, you might know this, but your IMEI number on your phone, okay? So any student here, everybody, I usually get people to take out their phone and put in *#06# as if you are making a call. Now, you could do it there, Sarah, if you choose, but when you put in *#06#, a long barcode comes up, and the barcode is your unique number to your phone. The advantages of having that, of course, is that if your phone is lost or stolen and you ring your provider and you have your IMEI number, which incidentally is also on the side of the box that you got your phone in, but if that's well gone like mine is, it's stored on your phone. But when you ring your provider, it means that you can lock down your phone. Now, on one hand, okay, it means that the person that stole it won't be able to sell it on, because you know, I mean, of course, somebody will be able to open it, but your average Joe Soap criminal that steals it won't be able to open it. So they won't be able to sell it on. So they're not going to get the €50 that they thought they were going to get. And the second thing, which I think is probably more important, is that your photographs, your data, everything else is also safe. So know your IMEI number. I give talks here to TY students. You know, they're only 2 or 3 years younger than, we say, the students in UL. And the most valuable thing they own is their phone. And inevitably, in a class of 24, 2 might know what their IMEI is. Now, an IMEI also refers to laptops. It refers to any sort of electronic device like that. So, you know, it's just something worth knowing. So so the first thing, of course, is to keep your property safe. So I'm going to go on and on and on again about crossbody bags. Put them under your jacket. If you're going out for a night, if you're in the bar, keep your bag in front of you. If you're in the nightclub, if you're going for a dance. My own bag was stolen, put my hand up to it on 2 occasions, both while I was a member of a Garda Síochána. First time I was literally a starving student above in Dublin as a student guard, and I was saving up for a pair of boots, as you do. And I went to a nightclub. I assumed the Gardaí with me were going to keep an eye on my bag, but how foolish was I? When I came back, my bag was gone. Having said that, the bag was returned to me from the men's locker room, and one of the gentlemen there told the guards, and the rest of the guards made a little collection for me, so I did actually manage to buy my boots. After all, a bit sad story, but something to think about. I didn't keep an eye on my bag. The second time it happened to me, unfortunately, alcohol was concerned again. I was in a nightclub. This maybe go back about 15 years ago, but nonetheless, there was a time when I went to nightclubs, and yeah, my bag was down alongside me. Again, I thought the girls would be all staying where they are, but sure, they're not responsible for my bag. We're all responsible for our own property. So now I only ever wear a crossbody bag when I'm out. You can get glorious ones, cheap out in pennies, or the finest ones with the lovely chains that match your outfit. And there you are, your phone, your money, your bank cards, you know, your passport if you need it for getting in and out of areas, things that cost an awful lot of money to replace. Well, enough money to replace, but also the hassle of having to replace them, and you being without your bank cards. So ladies, gentlemen, don't put your phones, your wallets in your back pockets. Put them in your front pocket, or, you know, breast pocket of your jacket. Remember to take property out of your jacket when you're hanging it on the back of a chair. Ladies, never ever hang your bag in the back of a chair. If you're sitting in under a table at a cafe, you keep your bag on your lap. I actually was in UL the other day walking around with security. We're doing a little security review, and I walked into the library, and the amount of unattended handbags I saw, I just couldn't get over it. Now, I did walk up to one beautiful bag, and I lifted up a Louis Vuitton wallet, and I was thinking, I'd love this. And at that, the young lady that owned the property came back to me, and clearly she was angry, but it was just That's how easy it happens. The criminals look like you and I, Sarah. They dress for the occasion. It's not like they're wearing, you know, things and a swag. They look like you and I. The most likely place that you're going to be pickpocketed for your phone or your handbag is going to be where you expect people may brush off you. This is in queues, like in your case, in the canteen, in the shops, in the bars, out and about at night time, in elevators, in escalators, you know, where people move in closely together. So a zip bag is vital. And also I noticed in news agents where you might be looking at a magazine cover or looking for a nice card, people can pick out, they're going to look for your wallet or your phone. So it's just the awareness, like I suppose COVID gave us a sense of personal, you know, space. Just be very suspicious of anybody that invades your personal space. So that's it really, I suppose. Sarah, is it about personal property, unless you can think about anything else?
No, that's great. I mean, the IMEI is a great tip, I think, because especially in this day and age when we're so reliant on our phones for everything, and they contain so much data, passwords, everything.
Banking.
I know I would be lost without my phone, and to be able to protect it so easily is a really vital information, is a really vital point that we all should be doing, you know. And
yes,
I to know that.
You mentioned it as well about the Telesys machine, you know, marking the property. I can actually get my air code marked across here on my phone if I want to. It just means that. And then, of course, if I want to sell my phone, ultimately, this can be taken off by the same machine and the new owners put on. So it is permanent, but it can be changed, if you know what I mean. But I mean, like the reason the criminals steal the properties to sell it on, but unfortunately it is supply and demand. Like if somebody didn't buy a bike for €20 under suspicious circumstances, criminals wouldn't be stealing bikes because nobody would buy them. So the new property, the property app is one thing, Guard property app, but we also have a property marking whereby it's a Telesys machine. It's only the size of a laptop. The guards will bring it on site. They did it already. They put your air code on the bike. There's so many advantages to this, but one of the main ones I remember is, like, I've 33 years service in Garda Síochána. I'm 5.5 years in this job, which is lovely, my own hours and everything. But for 28 years, I did shift work, frontline policing. The amount of vans and cars and suspicious people that we would stop with property on them that we cannot prove is stolen property. If we can't, we don't have any authority to arrest them or to hold them for questioning. But imagine if I stopped somebody with 5 phones and 5 different air codes on the phone. I'd say I'd be suspicious enough and I'd be all right if, you know, I could bring them in for questioning, or a van load of tools or bikes with different air codes on them, you know. And also, of course, an air code means that I can locate the owner and I can make contact with them and I can say, was your bike stolen recently? Was your phone stolen recently? And now we have an injured party as well. So it's the perfect ingredients for all the crime.
Yes, yeah, that makes total sense. And you made a very good point there earlier about COVID. You know, I think we all relaxed in COVID. We weren't in the environments that you say where people are in your personal space, or there was no queuing, there was no nightclubs or anything. And you know, I think we all need to remember and be aware of our property and our safety awareness and all of these things now that we're back to normal and business as usual. And for students particularly, that nightlife has restored, because I think a lot of these things, you know, those kind of thefts and you know, personal safety and so on, a lot of those issues may arise on nights out. So that's great, thank you, Ber. And then the next topic we were going to look at was accommodation.
I was going to say that's a lovely segue into accommodation, because during COVID we were at home. So a number of criminals in prison were asked, what is the greatest deterrent? You know, that if you were sizing up a number of houses, which house would you choose to break into and which houses would you absolutely not? I assumed that the answer would be, oh, you know, a Doberman or a massive alarm system or something like that. And the answer is very simply signs of occupancy, because ultimately a criminal does not want to be seen and he doesn't want to be heard because he doesn't want to get caught. That's what you have to remember. So thinking like a criminal and looking at your property. Now, Sarah, this is as much for homeowners as it is for people that are renting. And then I understand that some people are renting rooms rather than the entire house, but just bear with me, because even if anybody picked up something, they might share it with their grandparent, with their mom, with their aunt or their uncle. But it starts out in the garden. When you're looking at a house, if there's areas that a criminal could hide in while they're breaking into a window, they could. So no, none of the shrubbery, none of the landscaping should be higher than a table. That's the first thing, because never underestimate, again, the decency of people that do ring on Garda Síochána and say that something suspicious is going on. But then it's down to very practical common sense. Good quality windows and doors, which are no good unless they're locked. Unfortunately, during the summer, we know that 1 in 6 burglar gets in through an open window or door. We know why, because, you know, people can be out in the garden, but the front door mightn't be open. People could have left a window open a small bit so that they could get some fresh air. Sure, criminal loves that. And then the other thing, of course, is that windows and doors locked are no good if you're inside and you allow somebody in. So we know that this is all about the bogus criminals that have been unfortunately calling around at the moment. Now, while again, this may not refer to your listenership, but it does refer to your parents, to your grandparents. So why not just pay a bit of attention and pass on a bit of information to them? I mean, a member of An Garda Síochána is not entitled to enter your house unless they have a warrant, and that has to be got before a judge. I mean, that is how your home is your castle. Your home is absolutely where nobody has a right to go in. So if I'm home alone, all my doors are locked. Simple as. My alarm isn't on, but my doors are locked. If the front door rings, which is most unusual now, because generally we're expecting people or we've made an arrangement for some people to come, I look out through and I have a viewfinder, okay? But I mean, if you don't, you look out through the window and then I shout out to the person, can I help you? And if they say, are you not going to open the door? I say, can't find the key. What do you want? And then I decide whether I'm going to open the door or not. And I'm well aware, Sarah, that's extraordinarily rude, right? But we have to be more rude. We have to be more aware of the criminality that's there and, you know, protect ourselves. So this is what we're doing. I will not open that door unless I know or like or whatever the person that's standing out there. I don't care who I'm insulting. And I say the same to elderly people, because whatever generation I'm from, my mother who's 82 and your grandparents and your great grandparents and your parents are from an era where it was good manners to open the door and try and help somebody. And it's that decency that has been taken advantage of by the criminals, and it drives me mad. So can I just say, don't open the door ever. Even if you're expecting a pizza and there's a knock on the door, say, who is it? And then it's up to you whether you open it or not. But windows and doors, keeping them locked, the criminal is going to look for the opportunity. Any of ye that can leave your more valuable property in your home rather than bring it to rented accommodation, I'd advise to do that. I mean, again, the criminals are looking for the laptops, the gaming machines, I don't even know what they're called, forgive me, the phones, cash, of course, any bit of jewellery at all, anything that they can sell on easy. But they hate anything like, I mean, I don't expect a lot of rented student accommodation to have alarms, but your alarms are no good unless you set them. So like if you're lucky enough to have an alarm, set your alarm when you're leaving. Don't assume others have locked up the windows and doors. This is the first time for some people that they're responsible for property, for accommodation. You know, there's a naivety that gets an awful lot of students unfortunately caught out. So, and you know, remember that if you're sharing with 2 or 3 or 5 others, their standards of security mightn't be as good as yours. So it's up to you to make sure that you go around and make sure that everything is locked up before you leave the house or before you go to bed at night time. What I don't like as well is the amount of keys that can be available for various accommodations. I mean, you know, I have a daughter, she was going into a rented accommodation. I'd like to know exactly who has a key to that area. But if she has a bedroom, I would be saying, lady, you need to put something against that door and make sure that you're safe. And I'm not trying to scare people, and I'm certainly not trying to scare parents, but certainly, sure, what price peace of mind? I mean, I know as a young person away in foreign holidays, I instinctively put stuff in front of my door when I was in my apartment. Can't explain it, but I had a real sense of my own awareness. Having been a criminal, or rather, having been a victim of a criminal, victim of a crime then. Now, of course, my handbag is tied up around my neck. Nobody's going to get my handbag again. And unfortunately, it does take sometimes a catastrophic event, but often an event like being a victim of a crime before you change your practices. So, you know, I suppose any students out there, just be aware, don't be scared, be aware there are plenty of ways of protecting your property. You know, don't take your eye off your property, and lock up your accommodation, and don't let any criminals steal from you.
That's all really good advice, and I think really relevant for students who may be in their first time rental accommodation, as you say, just not used to bearing the responsibility of being, you know, the the homeowner, the occupant who's responsible for making that property safe and secure. So really, really good advice there, Bert. Thank you. The next topic we're going to look at is money muling. And again, people who are possibly financially independent for the first time, making financial decisions. And as well, I think with so much going on in terms of online, being aware online and being safe with your money online as well. So have you any tips for us today on that?
Well, I suppose I just want to talk about money muling, because generally it is students, and as I described myself previously, starving students, that could be targeted by people that want to use your bank account for criminal activity. Now, the unfortunate aspect to that is the person that's looking to use the bank account is not the bank account name and address holder. So the bank account name and address holder is the person that's going to get into bother. So if that bank account is in Burleach, it's Burleach is going to get into bother. So look, no matter what the reason, unfortunately, it does happen that money mulers go online and, you know, they advertise as a job and they need your bank account details in order to pay you. You know, sometimes, you know, just a handy online, maybe a research thing or something like that. And of course, you're allowed, we know that some young people and older people, anybody that's strapped for cash, really, you know, it's an opportunity to make a quick buck, but, you know, they could be laundering thousands and thousands of euro through your account, and they might give you €100 for that, but like the rest of your life is affected if you're caught for money muling. I mean, genuinely, you're not going to have any credit, you're not going to get credit. You'll never again hold a bank account. It's got huge implications for your future. So look, I suppose no matter on anything, and I know we're going on to scams in a minute, you just don't give your bank account details to anybody unless you're 100% certain as to who you're giving them for. So it's pause, as they say, and check, and then check again.
Yeah, and I think anything that raises suspicion or doesn't look right, or, you know, as you say, to be really vigilant with who you meet online or who approaches you, and no matter what the offer is, and I suppose no matter how tempting the offer is, especially,
yes,
you know, and we all know when we're students that it's really nice to have a few quid in your back pocket, and with the demands of study, an easy few quid is nice too. So just to be really aware, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. So and going on from there, scams, as you say, a nice segue into scams.
And you just gave away one of my lines, okay? So what I say about scams, and I know I'm speaking to young people, but if you wanted to explain this to anybody that you'd be concerned about, maybe your parents aren't as switched on as you are. You know, we're from a different generation. They're younger than me, but nonetheless. So the scam, SCAM, S is that it seems too good to be true. You know, an offer seems too good to be true. Okay, that would immediately make me suspicious. The C is that it comes out of the blue. By that, I mean, you didn't initiate the contact. You weren't the first to send the email or the text or the letter, for goodness sake, or you weren't the first to ring. This is like, it comes out of the blue. A is for, they're always asking for details. They will always be asking for personal data. And M is money. It is always about money. Scamming is always about money. Now, I do a lot of talks to elderly people who really don't altogether understand the whole, and you know, the whole online world. One lady said to me once, "Oh, sure, they can absorb it. They can absorb it. They can get it out." I said, "No, they cannot absorb the information. You have to give them the information." Now, forgive me, but my husband is a caring man, and he has this saying that even a fish won't get into trouble if he keeps his mouth shut. Keep your mouth shut. Don't give out your details. I say, if you give out your bank account details, you may as well open your wallet in the middle of O'Connell Street and say, "Here, lads, help yourselves." You know what I mean? It's as foolish as that. No more than sharing images online. The moment you let those images go, oh my God, you have no control of them, and they're always going to be there. So when it comes to scams, you know, back in the day it was letters. The Egyptian prince wanted to give you €1,000,000, or you're after winning the Spanish lottery. You can be scammed by letter, email, text, phone call, or at your front door. Keep your mouth shut. Don't Don't email it off to somebody. Don't tell anybody. Don't give your information out. I always say your first instinct when somebody contacts you out of the blue or that you did not initiate should be absolute suspicion. I booked a flight recently, and when I had the flight finished, the company rang me back. I'd failed to get it online. I got it by phone. The company rang me back to say that they wanted to verify the last 4 digits of my Visa card. And I said, why? And the lady got nervous and she said, but you know, you've just booked a flight. And she gave me the details of my flight. And I said, no. I said, I also used my credit card, so you have them. Why don't you tell me the 4 last digits of my credit card and I'll verify. Now, she said that she makes hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of phone calls and she had never before been asked, or somebody never, you know, they didn't even pause. So that's what I mean by absolute suspicion. This phone call was made 40 minutes after I'd booked the flight. She had the details of my flight. I still wasn't giving it to her. I can't, but the other thing I see is that I'm in my 50s. I said, oh dear, my apologies. I'm in my 50s. I'm not as accustomed to the online world. I wasn't reared in it. My 16-year-old daughter is reared in it. She thinks nothing. It's almost like she's too quick to answer her phone, too quick to do an email, too quick. I'm saying it again, pause, be suspicious and be very sure of who you're talking to. But I can't see any reason why you'd be asked to give out the details of your bank account. And I mean, we're all getting the emails now from our banks to say that, you know, we'll never ask you this, we'll never ask you that. But I do know of scams, like, and this is what really concerns me, where hackers were able to get into the thread of texts from your bank. So you're literally looking at a text thread from your bank, and you don't know that this is a scam. So even be so suspicious. What I always say is look up the number of your local bank and ring them. Now I know it's impossible to speak to people, but isn't that better to have to wait and pick up the time rather than giving up what few bob and overdraft you might have in your bank account? So look, slow down. We're all so quick. We got very much online during COVID. Slow down, check and double check.
Really good advice there, and as well raising the good point that we're time constraints. Everybody is, you know, modern world, we're all under pressure for time and, you know, doing things too quickly without thinking, just trying to get whatever we need to get done. And as you say, it's worth just pausing, reflecting. And I know, having been a victim of a scam myself, from doing something too fast and not thinking and not looking at what I was doing, and it's not worth the hassle, the time that goes into afterwards trying to recover from whatever has gone on, or be it money from your account or whatever. It's not worth it. So just take your time, pause, reflect, and as you say, be suspicious. Really good advice there, Ber. And I think we're all aware of kind of common scams that are out there at the moment. I know around COVID, there's still some texts going around COVID, and
you've found to be you're a close contact of COVID. You need to do a test. You need to pay for this test. This very genuinely looks from HSE, and the test will cost €1, whatever. Like, the HSE will never ask you to pay for a COVID test.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So all really, really good advice there. And I think, you know, those 5 topics are excellent, so relevant to today. And while they're so relevant to students, they're also really relevant to staff, you know, to just the wider community. It's all really good common sense, and we need a reminder every now and again. I think especially on the back of COVID, where we all spend a lot of time at home, we're a little bit more relaxed and let our guard down, and we need to get used to being back in the outside world, perhaps, and having our guard up a little bit more.
Actually, on that point, I meant to say that the sign of occupancy means that you light up your home to make it look as though there's somebody in it. But a great gadget, honestly, if anybody wants to buy a present for somebody, it's called a TV simulator. I bought it myself online. It was only €15, but my mother is living alone in Mallow. She's downstairs with her lights on. She's obviously getting on with her night, but upstairs, with the curtains open, the TV simulator has come on, and that gives off, you know, that flashing strobish kind of lighting that looks like somebody's watching television. It's what we all know. If we're walking towards a house and we're wondering, is there somebody home? If the car is gone, that doesn't mean, you know, they could still be in. Oh, the television is on. that's what the criminal is thinking. So give the impression that there's somebody at home, and give the impression that you're not alone as well. You know what I mean? That you're not the only person in the house. You know, use your lights. But that
That's
television
great.
simulator is a great little thing. Yeah.
Great, that's super advice. Bert, thank you so much for joining us today. We're really lucky to have you and to hear your advice based on your experience of 33 years with Garda Síochána. So we're really grateful for your time and for visiting us, and I'm sure we'll see you around campus soon again. And Bert, do you have any contact details that you might recommend for anybody who had any concerns around any of the information, or if anybody was indeed, you know, hopefully not, but was affected by a crime, any details that they could reach out to anybody in particular or contact?
Okay, so any of the information I gave you is more or less on the garda.ie website. There's a crime prevention tab when you come up on the main page if you want to go in that and look up for any crime prevention. But we have a fabulous victims office here in Henry Street, 212-400. May I speak to the victims office, please? They have immense information. I won't even begin, but you know, anybody that's a victim of crime that would assist you insofar as reporting a crime. And this is very important. A lot of people think that 999 is kind of only a life and death number. It is not. 999 is if you are a victim of crime or you're a witness to a crime. So God forbid you're walking home and you see something going on, 999. Because what happens, right? If you ring 212-400, those lines into Henry Street, we have very upset and disturbed people that can often ring. I've spent ages talking to somebody on the phone. So those lines aren't for an emergency. The emergency line is 999. The call, boom, goes straight to Cork. Who knows where all the vehicles are, knows where all the members are. And while you're in UL somewhere, it could be a member from Bruff that's taking a statement in UL is the closest resource to you. So 999 is absolutely fabulous. Know your air code. While you might know your air code at home because of all the online shopping that we do, you may not know the air code of your accommodation. And it's the air code is what all emergency, ambulance, fire and Gardaí are reliant on to get to your place. So know your air code off by heart. I think that's about it really, is it?
I think that's it. Yeah, that's
now,
really
needless to say, Sarah, my own email address, you know what I mean? Some people are uncomfortable about contacting Garda Síochána. I'd like to think that they saw some bit of my personality from today, okay? I mean, yes, I am a sergeant in the Guards. Yes, I was in the drug squad. Yes, I did frontline policing and I did all of that. But I was also a victim of crime. I am a mother. I'm a daughter. I worry about my own personal safety. And I'd be delighted to hear from anybody. My email address is probably the best to get me, Sarah, because then it means that they'll get me on duty. And it also means that I can get back to them. And, you know, just by contacting me does not mean that anything you want to talk about is going to be, I'm going to run with it. It means that I'm just going to be a signpost and I'm going to tell you where you should go or what you could do.
That's super. So that's ber.leach@garda.ie. Am I correct?
BER dot, and now Leach is tricky. It's LEETCH @garda.ie. But anybody that needs me can get me because I've been found hundreds of times at Henry Street Garda Station. So it's just 212-400.
Thank you so much, Ber. Thank you. On behalf of Healthy UL, a big thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.